So just today, me and my best friend were sat there in the break, and we were just chatting shit, and something led to something, and I ended up asking them something basically related to macro versus micro. And I was quite surprised to know that he didn't even know what battle versus war or micro versus macro meant. And so I basically told him, at least to my knowledge, of what it actually is. And he only kept nodding at that. But it was only really when me and him started talking about how this was very actionable in our world that we started to realize that basically nobody has a sense of goal this age. And we started just chatting shit about people around us, pointing fingers at all those idiots around us, and just saying, man, like, none of them have a goal. None of them have any ambition in life. None of them seek a higher living. They're just okay with living in their life. In fact, I'll tell you this story right now. We were sat in history class, and a history teacher was telling us about how he's literally been working in this school for 26 years. He's been an employee for 26 years. And if that doesn't scare you off, I don't know what will. Because at least to me, this is the biggest traumatizing thought I can have. Working a shit job I don't even like for 26 years. And it's honestly just fucking terrible, man. You see, in our world, we're not really taught nothing about goal setting or macro versus micro or all this type of bullshit. We're not taught none of this stuff. We're taught about fucking Napoleon Bonaparte or whatever the fuck. We're taught about history fucking shit. We're taught about Arabic and whatever and our fucking English and cute grammar. But we're not really taught actual stuff that will serve us. We're not taught how to goal set. We're not taught how to properly engage with goals or how to have an effective productivity or how to increase focus. We're not taught these actual things that will serve us. We're instead taught about plant cells and whatever the random bullshit you get fucking taught in your school. And it's fucking frustrating because you know for a fact this stuff's not going to serve you. And yet you're basically forced to learn this stuff from the age that you didn't even have a brain, that you didn't even have a fully developed prefrontal cortex, which is just a part of your brain. And so now we live in a world of completely ambitiousless, purposeless, just shitheads. And then we start complaining about how people are so unaware and so just shitty. Well, don't you think that's because they have no goals to begin with? Because they've settled with satisfaction? Because they've been given the mid-class type of option? And this honestly frustrates me to fucking death. Because all I can see around me are satisfied people. People who are happy with their 1K a month, sitting there like absolute fucking retards, just looking at their receipts, wishing that, like I don't spend that extra penny and whatever. And it frustrates me to fucking death. That's the last thing I want. And so the simple truth is, we don't want this for ourselves. We want to escape from this bullshit. I can completely see how you relate to this. Because in your life, you have also faced people like this. You've lived in a household where you've been told to not buy that toy you wanted so bad and instead get that other option because it's just cheaper. You were told to get that mouse because, the wireless mouse is too expensive and whatever. And I think we've lived our lives understanding these constraints. And many people, they would have just opted for it. They would have just said like, oh yeah, whatever, like this is how life is. But you're different, and I'm different. And so we instead said, hey, why don't we change the circumstance instead of adapting to it? But enough of the side rant. Let's actually get into this video. So, what is macro versus micro and all this bullshit? Well, macro is simply the big picture. It's the war, not the battle. But micro is the little battle. And so you can win a battle, but you might still lose a war because the war is the big thing. You have multiple battles in a war. But you don't have multiple wars in a battle because that just doesn't make any sense. And so basically the macro is just the big thing, while the micro is the little small things in the big thing. And so what I was telling my best friend about really is how you must love your macro. You must love your macro. And this is the problem with people these days is that they look at the micro. Oh, I love doing intellectual work and whatever. So, I'll work at offices. Well, guess what? You won't really like that either. Because you're looking at a micro and basing what you want to do on micro. Why not just look at the macro instead? Like, I'll give you a way to actually look at this actionably. When you actually want to start a business, you don't look at, oh yeah, I like recording videos and whatever. And yeah, that's probably a factor, but the main thing is, what do you like to be? Like, what do you want to be remembered as? I was literally asking my best friend about this just today. What do you want to be remembered at? What do you want people to say at your funeral about you? And like, we were just laughing our asses off on like how most people live. Most people, they just get, oh yeah, like he's a good guy. He had a lot of potential. He was okay. He was a good guy. He was funny. And honestly, I don't want that. Many people settle for this, but I don't want that. I want people to say he's a fucking menace. He had a fuck ton of epic stories. He was brain dead lost. And not lost in a bad way. I want people to say that he was a masculine young man who chased his goals and who had purpose in his life. Instead of saying, oh yeah, he had potential. He could have probably succeeded. And I believe you have the exact same thought pattern here as well. And so going back to loving the macro, you need to actually love the macro. And so many people think, well, oh, I like working with papers and whatever. And so, I can just work any job and whatever. They don't look at the macro and think, oh yeah, I like helping people and I like doing physical work, which means, oh yeah, I probably would be good as a doctor and whatever. They don't look at the macro. They look at the micro instead. And so the main rule of thumb here is love the macro, and then, of course, you're going to have some micro tasks you don't like. And so I'll tell you a great example. My macro is being an influencer. I'm an influencer. I'm a guy who sits here and talks to you and teaches you things that I'm learning, right? But my micro, or my multiple micros, are recording videos, editing videos, uploading videos. Those are the main micros I have. And I love recording videos. Even though it gets my throat sore and whatever, I like it. But then you come to editing and it's quite fucking boring. It's like below my level. And this is an example of a micro task you don't exactly like. But then the reason why you would have micro tasks that you don't like is because the whole point of it is that you will have battles you don't like inside of the big war. And so that's really the whole point here. You need to base yourself around a good macro, because if you had a bad macro, a macro you didn't like, and you just worked for the sake of the macros, well, you'll eventually you'll have to do a micro you don't like. You'll have to do a task you don't like editing the video. And if you don't have a purpose behind this, if you don't have the macro as a genuine purpose, that okay, I want to genuinely help people, which is why I'm doing this, then why would you do it anyway? You would just quit. I've seen this over and over. I remember telling multiple people from my old friends, hey, you're a genuinely awesome person. You would work greatly as a YouTuber or whatever. Start a YouTube channel, start talking about stuff you like. And I said this to multiple people. And I'll tell you this, not a single one of them posts videos. Some of them tried, none of them stayed consistent. And the reason is because they don't like it enough to do it, because it's not their macro. They're not doing it for the big reason. They're doing it because it's fun and they want to waste time or whatever. But that's where real competitiveness comes in. And I think this all really relates to essentialism. This concept of basically that you want to be essentialist. You want to do the least amount of work or have the least amount of areas and priorities as physically possible in order to actually be successful. Because you probably have seen this. I probably should show you this on the whiteboard. Hold on, let me just get it. So I'm gonna basically be showing this. This is basically what I'm trying to really say here. This is the essentialism. So I'm going to try and keep this up and I'm going to tell you about this. So basically, you can see two circles right now. You can see the first circle, which has a big arrow going out of it. And then you have the other one, which is a small circle, and it has like basically small arrows coming out of it. This is what essentialism looks like. The one with the long arrow is a guy who's very progressed, but he's only progressed in one area. And then the other one is he is progressed in many different areas, but he's not making much progress at all because he has very small arrows. And you know, like if there's a perfect ideal for this, it would look something like this. Let me draw this for you. Where it is about three different areas and priorities that you have. And it's probably about three, maybe even four. The whole point that I'm trying to say here is the less you do, the better. The more you can optimize for having less, the better that you will be doing those stuff that you have, like, that have less of. And so as you've seen, this is basically what essentialism looks like. The less you do, the more progressed you will be in that one thing that you do. And so what we really want to do here is have as least amount of stuff that we will be prioritizing in order to make the most amount of progress. And so this means basically having the least amount of areas. If you don't know what areas mean, it just simply means the little cups of your life. So you have relationships, health, fitness, you have finance, but then it doesn't just stop there for you, because you also have video games, you also have whatever the bullshit that you do. You have that other toxic friend of yours and they're wasting your time. And so all these things add up. The whole point that I'm trying to make is you want to be as minimalistic as possible with this, which means that you will eliminate a lot of those areas that you're doing. And I'll tell you this story about areas, since this does strike up a good story. So basically, I used to go to karate gym, and I even have the black belt, I have all this other like crazy stuff. But then when I wanted to focus on my YouTube and really grow, I knew for a fact that I will never succeed as fast as I am right now if I didn't eliminate the karate. And so what I did is I basically eliminated the karate. I stopped going to the karate because I knew if I was essentialist, then that would mean I have more time to actually do the work that I have to do for my macro, which is the real thing here, which is, my YouTube, which means I'll be getting my results faster, like a longer arrow basically. And so what are the key steps here? How do I implement all this shit that I've learned? Well, let's talk about this. So basically, Essential Few states that you will eliminate the amount of areas that you do, and you will specify a couple of key goals for each area. But I'm actually changing the rule of Essential Few. What I will do is I'll tell you, you will set one macro goal, and that is it. What is the one goal? And you should ask this yourself, literally, just have some kind of note or paper to write this on. What is the one goal that if you accomplished right now would change your life the most? Is it actually getting that body? Probably not. Is it making the 10K? Well, that's probably a likely thing. Well, is it optimizing my health? Well, I could probably do that later, right? And so you see, it's basically just about what you prioritize the most. Now, me and you might have completely different priorities. Maybe for you, it's genuinely that aesthetic body as opposed to making the 10K. Maybe you already are quite financially free and stuff. The whole point is, what is the one goal that if you accomplished right now, would change your life the most? And just make that your macro and set one macro for each of the areas that you have. So I think I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but you need to actually identify the areas that you have. And so basically you will identify, what are my areas? What are the things I commit my time to? What are the main areas in my life? You would say relationships, friendships, family. Those are the three social stuff. And then you have maybe fitness and health. And then you have maybe finance if you do some kind of business and stuff. Maybe it's school. And then you've also got like religion. Basically just write down your areas. And then you might do some martial art and stuff. You might do some weird sports thing. The whole point is you know you, and you need to identify your areas. And so what you will do now is you will simply eliminate the areas that you don't need and then keep the areas that you need and that you must have. And then from here, you will set a goal for each of those areas. And so basically, you will go and set a macro, one macro for each area. You will go to finance and say, I will reach 10K. And then you will go to fitness and you will say 10% body fat or whatever. The whole point is you want to basically set goals for like basically each area, and you want to make it one goal per area, which is one macro. And then from there, for each of those areas, of course, you probably should have one priority area. So this is probably something that you should do. Set one area that you will focus on right now. This is your season of accomplishing this one goal, this one macro of life, not just that area. And so basically the one goal that will change your life is the main goal to focus on. And then the rest are cool stuff to have on the side. And so basically this is like kind of the main thing. And then from there you will basically identify your micro tasks to do for each of those goals to get you there. So for getting to 95 kgs, you will need to bulk up, which means that you eat in a calorie surplus and then you hit the gym maybe 6 times a week. That's awesome. And then these are the only things you need to be doing. Just do that every single day. Maybe track your weight every once in a while. That's probably a good habit to have. Sweet. That's about it. And then we basically go to the next area. Well, what can I do to get to 10K a month? Well, do the work for you. It may be, if it's YouTube, then you would say record, edit, upload videos, and then thumbnail, of course. And then if it's something that's like, I don't know, like sending 1,000 cold emails or whatever, the whole point is it has to be based around you. And so you will identify your micro tasks, the tasks that you will do. And you will specifically identify all of them first. But then you will see which ones can I eliminate, at least for the time being. It doesn't have to be forever. But which ones can I actually eliminate? And so for a long time, I used to do the morning chat type videos, which means I didn't need to worry about title or thumbnail and none of that stuff. And so I eliminated one of my micros temporarily, just so that I can focus on making the videos themselves a bit better. And as time progressed and I got more consistent, I started introducing thumbnails and titles, and I even stopped the morning chats and stuff. And then for the other ones that aren't so high priority, but you still have to do them, just don't hurry on them. Don't give them eat that frog importance. Just don't do them in such a rush. Like, you can do them wherever the fuck you want. Just basically focus on the main tasks. Keep those tasks that you have to do. If you haven't done them, you have to do them, just do them. And then if you can probably delay them, then whatever, just delay them. But I mean, honestly, I keep going on a fucking rant on this shit, man. Like, I keep saying how, people are just so fucking ambitionless. And I mean, this is probably one of the main reasons to my success. At least, when I, stand on that stage or whatever it may be, and I say, hey, I'm fucking successful. When I'm successful and people start asking me, hey, what's your secret? I am very sure I'll probably say it's just my fucking ambition. Because ever since a young man, I have been ambitious as fuck. I wasn't the type of guy who was going to change himself for nobody. And I wasn't going to change myself for no goal, no circumstance, no whatever bullshit that people tell me. And this is what makes successful people different from just the average people. Because a successful person, if you told Elon Musk before he had even thought of creating SpaceX and all this stuff, if you told him, hey, you shouldn't think about Mars, we shouldn't go to Mars. So you think we'll actually make Mars a place? Ha ha ha. If you told him that, do you think he'll honestly would even be shook by you? He would look at you like this. He'd be like, what the fuck are you saying, you stupid bastard? It's like, I know I can do it, and so just leave me alone. And this is exactly what I think for my goals as well. People need to understand that you need to have a fucking level of ambition to the fucking roof. And I mean, I'll say this is something that you probably could work on. If you see yourself as genuinely not so ambitious, work on this, change this for yourself. But in any case, that's kind of what I want to go through. I just kind of want to tell you about my coaching really quick. So basically, I can help you with this problem of essential few and all this stuff and choosing essentialism and actually having a more productive life. Basically, I'm going to be making the perfect school for us. And this is going to be basically me helping you one-on-one. So I'll literally sit down with you on a call, or maybe multiple calls if you so choose, and we will literally discuss your problem. And so I will sit there and I will basically look at your life right now with your parents, with that friend, with those other hobbies that you have, and we will think, hey, how can I actually help this guy become more like essentialist, and I will make you an essentialist. I will tell you, hey, you know that one thing on your desk is actually making you unproductive, and it's gonna be so fucking weird. You're not even gonna think about that, but then that's actually how it is. And then I'll basically give you little optimizations and major optimizations, and I'll help you set goals, and I'll help you basically get from phase 0 to phase 1 when you're just ready to jump into action. And so if you're interested, I'll leave my Instagram as the first link in the description. You can DM me and we'll discuss stuff about my coaching and whatever. And so if you're interested, just click the link in the description to learn more. But in any case, that's kind of what I want to go through. Make sure to subscribe if you want to show me that you're part of our tribe, that you're committed to our message, that you actually want to improve your life, that you're ambitious, that you have goals, that you're fucking masculine, that you want to fucking dominate men, and that you want to fucking become a 1%er, dominating every single man on this earth. And make sure to like this video if you want me to make more videos on this one, talking about goal setting and all this amazing stuff, and macro, micro, and all this stuff. And finally, if you commit to the work, you will be getting the results.